Project 95, it's coming for you. Here we are, 10/20/95. It's in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Now I'm starting to double back. So I went through Iowa on my way out. So this is sort of a benchmark kind of moment. And this show there's a couple of things I want to talk about with this show that I think are worth noting, worth talking about. We're in this weird little. This is where the tour starts to like cut double back on itself, and travel and time and money are starting to become an issue. The next night, if you see the map there, the next night is back in Nebraska. So it's like Kansas City up to Iowa, then Nebraska, then Illinois. So it's kind of just ragged, and that made it tough, as I said, for money, for travel, for just the whole thing. It started to make it a little bit more challenging as the tour went on. So I had tickets. So this show is coming off that Kansas City show, which I think was kind of a rager. You get this kind of quirky night in Iowa. And the first thing I want to talk about is the fee. And like, why would you want to talk about fee? Well, I want to talk about fee because it brought up this issue that I've always had with the band, which is especially in '95 when I was a young fan. A big part of the appeal of Phish to me was the marriage of this complex, intricate music with silly and comedic antics, right? I've mentioned the comedic antics ad nauseum, but their lyrics are juxtaposed against this very complicated, quote unquote, serious music. And then it's, I'd like to cut your head off so I could weigh it, or my friend, he's got a knife, or ha 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 ha, or a song about Fee the Weasel, and so on and so on. That was something that I loved about the band. And it's something that they've kind of gotten away from, right? In since Trey's sort of epiphany. But it's something that I placed value on because I thought, your band can't do this. So, yeah. So as I was building this case that Phish is the greatest band in the history of music, right? There were certain things that they needed to do to confirm that for me, and so that I could then use that confirmation as evidence that this band was the greatest band in the history of music. And I was kind of thinking about it, looking at this set in particular because they played Fee in the middle of the first set. And I have in parentheses Trey screwed up with an exclamation point. It was so important to me that I noted it and made you gave it an exclamation point. I don't think anything else. There's not another exclamation point for this night, and there were some cool things that happened. So this is a long way of me getting to this idea that it was important to me that they don't fuck up, right? This one wasn't as sort of this one wasn't as big a deal because he went up on the lyrics to Fee. He started singing the first verse again, and the band keeps playing, and the crowd cheers, and Trey kind of laughs it off, and then they come around and they catch up, and he sings the right. But the fact that these guys, they screw up all the time, I understand, but it was important to me that they not screw up. And there's a quote from Trey in Bittersweet Motel, if you remember. He's being interviewed at his hotel, and they're in Europe. And he's like, nobody's there to see us get through all the parts. And I'm like, excuse me. Yes, I am there. That is one of the great joys that I get from this band is like a song like Reba. It's like they start everybody's in boulder and water. They start playing Reba, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Part of the joy for me, part of the mystique of this band is here we go. I know what's coming. I know it's challenging to play. Let's see if they can get through it without flubbing it. And that was important. Lyrics, less so. Like if Trey went up on lyrics, I didn't really care. But him fucking up the Fee lyrics started me thinking about like, yeah, why? It's become less and less important to me because inherent to this kind of a music, this kind of approach to music of improvisation and sort of abandon and risk, inherent to that is mistakes, is misses. They can't all be hits. But there's something about, like, if I could say to my music friend who didn't know Phish or didn't like Phish, if I could say, watch them get through this passage of music flawlessly and then go on to improvise, a soaring, screaming jam session, then I had a leg up on them. These were chips that I could, cards that I could play in the overall defense of Phish as a band that is often misunderstood or written off or disregarded because of other factors, maybe the silliness, maybe the lyrics or whatever. You guys all know the way people dismiss this band. So and I mentioned this just now, but I'm not as focused on that anymore. But I certainly was in 1995. It was part of the thrill for me was that this music is so awesome and challenging, and they do it flawlessly. Like when you heard, a YM or a fluffhead or something that's most of their stuff from that era too, from the 80s and 90s, was all like I mentioned in an earlier video, like Trey just making it hard for no reason, right? It sounds cool. It is cool. Like getting through the divided sky. That's another one, right? They before this fee, they played Divided Sky, and all those twists and turns and ups and downs and playing passages forward and backwards and all these crazy things, and they get through it, and you're just like, yes. There's just it's not relief, but it's like it's a thrill. They give you a thrill. Um, so the fee just kind of triggered that idea for me when I saw Trey screwed up. Like, it's also the first time I wrote it, so you could you could argue it's the first time they messed up this tour. Certainly on lyrics, and maybe not, but the fact that I noted it is interesting. And again, I think contributes to the overall lore of this band. Um, they're kind of hitting no real bust outs really. This Amazing Grace instrumental, they actually hadn't done that since 93. I want to say that New Hampshire 93, 5/8 93, that New Hampshire show that closed the 93 spring tour. They did an instrumental Amazing Grace outro kind of thing. It was actually really good. This one's kind of cool, but it's with an electric bagpiper, which has a different sound than an actual bagpipe that I don't care for. But again, this was one of those. The fact that it's happening is better than the actual thing itself. If that makes sense. It was cool to see that happen. Didn't love it, but nonetheless, that those kinds of moments, they're getting a little. I noticed this. They played Antelope this night, and they would play it 2 nights later, 3 nights later, at Dane County. And this is back-to-back nights of Blue and Lonesome, I think. So I can't really speak to. Oh, sorry, my bad. No, it's not. What the fuck am I talking about? Oh, it will be. Oh, that's technically not because I didn't go. Okay. So yeah, the second set starts. This was a big chess update show. So like during what song was it? During Acoustic Army last night, Trey gave a whole here's why there's a giant chessboard hanging on the stage. And then this night they come out and the audience makes their move, and Trey's like, yeah, I don't think you want to do that. Basically just a savage takedown of the audience who's getting their ass kicked. So dude makes a shitty move. Trey grants the audience a new move so that the game will continue longer, which was, I thought that was pretty funny. Again, I have no idea what any of it meant. It was just a cool thing that they were doing and trying, and it was working, I guess, because people were totally into it on tour. I'm in this maze. This maze is screaming at me right now. Um, so like this second set is kind of interesting. Timber sent simple maze gumbo while my guitar gently weeps. Like that's a pretty good sequence right there, right? Scent of a Mule had a lot of Trey. I don't know how to say. Is there a word for singing what you're playing or scatting what you're playing? Um, I think it was made popular or made famous by George Benson, the guitarist from like I want to say the 50s maybe. Um, he would he'd play a thing and then sing it at the same time. I'm is there has to be a word for that. I just don't know what it is. Um, but that sequence, 10% or Mule, Simple Maze Gumbo, While My Guitar Gently Weeps. It's always interesting to see what songs sort of they pull into the catalog from their Halloween albums, right? So um, the first one was a White Album the year prior, and we're coming up on 95, which was the second Halloween show. And While My Guitar Gently Weeps was pretty much the only White Album song that made it sort of into regular rotations. It has since sort of disappeared, but it popped up quite a bit in the fall of 95. Um, Drowned is the big one from Quadrophenia, which is coming up in a couple weeks. Um, that that became kind of a big. That lasted more than just a year, but um, then they go again. Acoustic, Long Journey Home, Blue and Lonesome. They're really kind of pushing those into the mix um, as these sort of downshifts in set lists, right? Going acoustic, slowing it down, quieting it down. Um, I believe Trey introduced everybody as Phish as Henrietta, Trey or Mike as Cactus Gordon, and Phish or Page as chairman of the boards. Um, throw in a bounce in there, and then if you listen to these 95 antelopes, they're all just screamers for the most part. It's like when I think of Tension and Release, when I think of them really getting after the dissonance and the tension, Antelope is the song that I think of. Not 95 Antelopes, is the song I think of. And pretty much every single one of them is just like just squeezing every ounce of tension out of the song, and then those big drops or big releases. um, and this is no different. Sleeping Monkey, is that the first one of the tour? Probably. Never a big fan of that. And Rocky Top's always fun, but this night for me was Trey fucked up Fee. Jerry fucked up loser, fucking Uncle John's. Inside joke. So we're off tomorrow, but there's a show. This is the first time this has happened. I had a ticket for the Nebraska show on the 21st at Pershing Auditorium, which they would eventually release through Live Phish. I had to make a choice. I had to make a decision. I just, and I thought money wise and time wise and travel wise, I couldn't, it wasn't feasible. So these are the tough decisions you got to make when you're out on the road following a band around. It's like they didn't do me any favors mapping it out this way. Um, so I did the difficult. This is difficult. You know, you get greedy out on tour where you're like, man, I want to go to all these shows. I still feel that way. Like when I'm doing like a 3 night run, I'm like, where are they tomorrow? You know, yeah, you guys want to go? This has happened multiple times. This happened the year prior, but it's happened multiple times where I want to keep going and everyone else is like, I got shit to do or whatever. Basically led me to doing this entire tour. It was like, fine, no one wants to go with me. I'll go by myself. Um, so I won't. I'll have a side quest tomorrow, but I won't see it till the 22nd, which is Assembly Hall, Champaign, Illinois.